We begin by downloading the installer, which I've already downloaded here onto my desktop. So I'll just click on it to install the demo. So I'll click on run here. It'll take me through this. It's actually pretty fast. So once it's done, it will create an icon on the desktop here. It will be by the names of MTOMS with a word demo in brackets. So I'll click on it to begin the system. So here we are loading. You wait for it. Once it has begun this blinking in this user ID, that's when I can actually type in the user ID. The user ID is 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the password is also 4 times. Once I'm done with that, I can click on enter. So here I'm presented with this screen. This is your menu, as you can actually see on top. We have sections here, various sections here. We have systems and security settings, church settings and configuration, church members, offertory, LCB, and others as we shall see. But our main concern is with the offertory section. So if you see each section, if I double click on it, it expands. If I double click on account sec, it expands. And in each category, we have various menu items or items corresponding to each particular section. So I can collapse this by double clicking on them to just maintain the group that we are actually working on. So we on the offertory section. Inside we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 items. One is enter offerings. If I click on this item, it has its corresponding menu. If I click on the Sabbath cash statement, it also has its corresponding menu. So it's actually more like a menu I use to navigate from one screen to another altogether. So I'll go back to my offertory section. So this is the screen which is on the side here. I can drag this particular for a better view altogether, but I'll leave it as that. My screen is a little bit bigger, but if your screen is tinier, you might want to kind of collapse this particular menu. The way we do it is by coming here. If you see, I move my mouse closer to this particular section. I click here all together. So when I click here, it is going to collapse. If I again click here, it's going to expand. I use this to actually get a bigger view of my screen and improve my working area altogether. So on this screen for the enter offering screen, we have this form. It has the top panel here, which will give us information about what we have done. So far we have not entered any entry. So it is also it's also showing me the Sabbath date which it's pointing to. This is a Sabbath oriented system, so all the dates here are all Saturdays. So it's a Sabbath oriented system. So all dates here, if you see, this was the Sabbath that came before 3rd May altogether. So I can click on it to see. Again, there is nothing in the system. We're going to enter these records and see how all these things actually get to work. On top here, I have a button called tasks. It's something that I use to navigate and find operations on the screen altogether. So when I click on this task, I'm going to see this menu item called enter new Sabbath offering. So let's click on it. So this is the form that we saw when we're doing our demonstration and now on our training at the time. If you see, it's pointing to the first, we have the Sabbath day, the payment mode, and the currency. This come in by default. So by default, it's pointing to the previous Saturday, which is May 3rd at the time of this recording. It was yesterday. If I wish to change it to enter records for Saturdays before May 3rd, I click on these 3 dotted lines. I don't know if I can show them to you properly here. These ones here altogether. So when I click on them, it changes to pink, and I can actually, it will enable this drop down. If you see on the side here again, so it will enable that drop down so that I can be able to navigate and move maybe to a previous Sabbath if I forgot or I did not enter things maybe on the 19th. Maybe I'm beginning the system right now, but I wish to enter records straight from January. I can still do that all together. It's just by clicking this small button here. So if I click on this, it's going to warn me about change the current Sabbath date. Are you sure you want to proceed? I say yes. If I want to restore back, I again click and I move back to May 3rd. So these double buttons are the ones that enable this whole operation. We have the payment mode. The payment mode is something we spoke about in the presentation altogether. Payment modes, we have cash, check, bank slip, kind, and mobile money. Someone might bring their money in cash, in check, bank slip, or this actually went to the bank. Kind is something maybe someone has brought in, maybe like matoke, but we convert that to money because the system can only allow a single currency altogether. Even mobile money option is actually there. So the purposes of this presentation, we're going to stick to the cash particular format altogether, which is the default. Many people bring their money in cash. So we'll keep to that for demonstration purposes, but we can change this. Again, if you wanted to change, there are these three dotted lines here that I can click upon all together. Once I click on them, that means that I can change the mode to something which is different from cash altogether. So we'll stick to the cash. I won't select another mode. You can play around with it in your demo version and see how that one actually can also work for you altogether. So we have the currency. This is by default, it's Uganda shillings, but we can change it to a different currency, which can also be, I can click on my double dots, so it enables here. I can click on US dollars here. System still maintains a single currency. I'll explain about currencies in the later sessions altogether. I'll have a special video on that. So I'll default back to Uganda shillings for this particular presentation altogether. And I'll mark it as its default. So this is coming by default. The system will know, so you really don't need to change, but you need to take care of how someone brought in the offer tray, whether it was cash and the currency is Uganda shillings. So member name, as we spoke in the presentation, really is about someone who brought in, but we also saw that these are actually source types. Where did the offer tray come from? We had that the system categorizes where the offer tray comes from into these particular groups. We have the unregistered. If you remember, we spoke about it in the presentation. We have the registered church member. We spoke about them. We have the offer tray can come from the church group. Underneath, they can be families or cities. Can come from a department, from a church subunit. It can be a company or Sabbath school, children, couple, household, visitor. And also remember what we call church collection, that money that came in the basket, the chipbo. So those are the source types that were actually there. If you remember, we took a lot of time on them. We'll be in various sessions trying to create these different source types. Purposes of this demonstration is just to give a recap of what we did. So I'm actually working with the unregistered. So unregistered actually means I can just type. So it doesn't limit me. I can actually put anything. It will kind of accept if I have the right to do it. So we'll enter a few records. I'll put John Kennedy here. Kennedy. I'll put tithe here. We've entered 67,000. Put camp meeting offering. We'll put 65,000 here. We put divine worship. I'll put 67,000. Put camp meeting expense, which will be again 30,000. So if I press enter, it automatically highlights here. I don't know if you can see. It will it will just move me to that highlighted section. So pretty much I don't need to touch the mouse. I enter prime radio, it will automatically filter. When I press enter, it will move to the next line. So please don't touch the mouse, just use the keyboard enter and type. It knows what to do. So at the end, when I'm done, maybe someone as John Kennedy has entered 5 offerings, and they are totaling to 236,800 shillings. So if that's okay, then that's what is on the envelope. I'll click on F5 or I'll click on the tab button. It's not yet shown here, but I can click on the tab. If I click on the tab, it will bring me, are you sure you want to save this record? I just press enter. So it will have gone behind. The record has actually been saved. So if you see the screen is going to navigate back to the member name. I don't need to again touch the mouse. I'll enter another person. Call them Ken Mark. Ken Mark entered brought in tithe of 9,000, and Prime Radio he gave 2,000. Good Samaritan he gave us 6,500, and the building fund he also brought in 9,800. So we save that all together. So enter another record for Sarah Jane. So we are having Sarah Jane brought Sabbath School 7,800, and also brought computing expense of 9,000. So we said this is what she actually brought. The children in the church brought in their tithe. And put it as maybe 8,900. So I'll save that there. So we also had church collection. If you remember, church collection goes to loose offering here. Loose is the offertory that receives, it's a special offering for, loose is an offertory for, we kind of don't know, it's an offer that comes from usually church collection. It was 8,900. So I'm also going to save that as our entry. So if you can see, this is the form that we have used for entering this information. Just as another reminder, let's say if I put maybe Sarah Jane here. I might have typed it badly. So Sarah Jane, and I enter maybe tithe 7,800. Divine worship 150,000. And I realized that instead of putting 150,000, I put 15,000. So how do I correct this particular thing? So there's this button here on the side. Just highlight it for you, this one, the X button altogether. So I can actually just click on it. For the selected record, I can remove it and I enter again divine worship as 150,000 altogether. So once I'm done, I click on my tab and I save. So I have entered various records in my system. It's actually issuing the receipt numbers. If I click on a particular person here, what they entered is what I see. Here is just a summary of the total amount. If you can see it from here, this is a summary of the total amount. But if I click on any particular person, I can see what they actually see. Ken Mark brought, receipt number is 2, receipt total is this one, payment mode, the name, the currency, the total amount. Even here is the name of the person. So this is actually what was entered on the envelope. So I can have that particular type of view. If I want a bigger view, remember I told I can collapse here, so I have a bigger screen and I can see what is actually going on. I have a better view. I can also search for particular people if I have very many records and I need to verify maybe when the entries were made. If you remember, there was a process here that I spoke about in the presentation where we are having the deacons doing the process, the MTOMS cash flow. These are the processes of the deacons. So when we enter, what we have just done is we have entered data into MTOMS. what we need at the second phase, which might not be possible in the demo version, is the data verification and printing. So someone who is doing the verification of the entries and printing will basically just be looking at the envelope and look at the name. Maybe I'm looking at Mark. So if I'm type Mark here, it's going to remove all other records and only leave Mark here. So this allows us to actually see that entry in particular. If I want to go back, I just clear the name on top. This is the area I'm talking about where we type all together. So once I do that, I can type maybe Jen also. Jen has 2 receipts. I can move with the keyboard up and down, but if you see, each receipt has different records associated to them. If I wanted to remove this record, I select on it, I cancel this receipt, and I have to put in my password, which was 04 times. Then I give my reason. My reason is going to be wrong posting. Wrong posting. Maybe this wasn't supposed to go to Sarah Jen, it went to someone else altogether. So it can be any reason that can lead to you canceling a receipt. But these receipts are going to be shown in all the preceding documents, as we shall actually see. So I'll proceed to cancel, and I can actually cancel that. So when I remove this here, I still get to see the people I entered. I get to see the total number of receipts are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is actually shown up here. The total amount is this, and I also have the cancelled. The cancelled I can view will be in this particular section. There will always be a thing that signals that I've cancelled this receipt. It's on this particular tabs. I just click on one of these particular. So this is completed, this is cancelled. So please don't forget it. That's how I can view it all together. So I can, after all this, I'm assuming I'm done with my entries. I'll go to my Sabbath cash count. When I come to my Sabbath cash count, this is the screen for the Sabbath cash count. It has 3 tabs, 1, 2, 3. So this is for valid receipts. On top here, I have the year, then I have the month. Then below the month, it's going to show me all the Sabbaths under that particular month. So if you see, we are in the month of May, and the entries are for 3rd May, the ones that we entered here, if you noticed very, very well. If I move back to the 26th, there is nothing because I've not entered anything. So on the 3rd, we entered these 5 records. That's why you see, even when I come to this month, if I change it to January, it will show me all the Sabbaths under January. So since we're in May, when I click on May here, it's only going to load the Sabbath. If you see, when it shows a word here, select the Sabbath. So I can just click here and I select the Sabbath. So if you see, this is what we have entered. The system has already put it into a agreed particular format. It has combined, it has split up all this all together. If you see on the top portion here, I am having this bar, the one that is in gray. It's showing my summary. It's showing my summary of what I've actually done. So it's corresponding with the total for this whole, the summaries of all the 6 receipts on top. If you see here, the receipt total, it's the total in yellow is the total, which actually, when I come back here, it will correspond with the 529 here that I see. If you see here, it all together is 529, 100 altogether. So the 165 is the total tithe it is the total tithe that was collected altogether. I can also see a cancel receipt for Jen. It's not included in this actual total altogether. If you see the divine worship, it's having 67,000. This cancelled is not being included. So this is actually left for audit purposes, but this is actually showing us the Sabbath cash count altogether. So if I wanted to print out this, it is not going to accept because I've not closed the Sabbath. I can only print out once I've closed the Sabbath. I'm not going to close the Sabbath because there are still other things we're still going to do on the Sabbath for this particular demonstration. I'll end the whole So I'll end all my sessions by closing the Sabbath in another video altogether. So as we can see right now, we've generated a Sabbath cash statement, and we can also look at our weekly cash statement, which is in the month of May. So it's showing me what we have done in these particular weeks altogether. There are 4 weeks, but we only have entries for one Sabbath. If I click on the amount here, there is a button that comes up. It's a blue button. It's a green button with 3 dots. Sorry about that. And if I click on it, I can see people who gave a tithe in that particular range. So it's more like an intersection point. If I click on any amount here, it's going to highlight. Sorry, it's going to be on the side of the amount. I can see who actually gave on that. You can try it out and you'll see what it actually does altogether. So I'll stop here for this particular session. Hope to see you in another session. Thank you very much.